Jehovah Jireh, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Holy Spirit is God Almighty. I'm going to talk about suicide. I'm going to talk about suicide. Suicide is very popular. It is very common and very popular, yet very inconspicuous, very unknown. When I say unknown, it is known, but at the same time, it is in the obscure part of life where people are crying to die, but just are afraid of the consequences that might come after after death. It is a very common thing. It is very, I would say, a lot of people in the world are deeply affected and troubled by the thought and desire of suicide. There are situations in the world where people are treated badly, seriously, terrible. Terrible to the point where it can be a recurring situation in the heart and mind and spirit and soul of a person for the rest of his and her life because of whatever was done to them. There are people who have been abandoned by their mom, where they found out that their mom had thrown them in a garbage bin or somewhere in a park and left them as is, whatever, and were not fortunate but unfortunate to be found by a person or a system or a program that is owned or regulated or controlled or run by a person who has abominable tendencies to sexually molest babies, kids, and even adolescents, and the list goes on. They have other cases where people are terribly raped by their father, a family member, or even in jail. There are men who went to jail and got raped, and no one knew about that but him and whoever was involved and whoever was close enough to witness such abominable thing. And what happened is when you are in jail, for example, I'm going to talk about that jail part, because a lot of people are suffering secretly as a result of being in jail and was or were raped by someone in jail or more than one person in jail, and literally had to live with that for the rest of his or her life. Now, being in jail, your freedom is limited. You are given a certain amount of parameter to move about, and then you are put back into your cell. Unfortunately, in jail, you have gangs, you have cliques, and you have the baddest man, and sometimes the baddest woman, if you were to be a woman, being in a female prison. You might have gone to prison because you got into a situation where you had to fight or had to do what needed to be done in order to protect yourself, or you just couldn't keep your temper and did whatever you had to do and end up in jail. You probably could have murdered someone or got into whatever type of trouble and end up in jail and not knowing the situation that exists in jail. There are so many different type of cases and situations that exist in jail where people are badly raped and not being dealt with righteously after. For example, being raped and then end up in a deeper case or situation in the system and not got justice as you're supposed to, even though you're a prisoner, or even being a prisoner. When you are a prisoner, you still have rights. There are articles that protects you. But when you are a prisoner in certain prison, you do not have any value. There are certain countries in which the prison does not care about the rights that protects you. If you were to be raped terribly, the only thing you could do is take it and live with it. And sometimes a person might rape you because they know that they are in there for life, and so there's no need for looking out for them on the outside. And you might get outside, and when you are outside, it's like you are longing for that person to come out to kill that person. Now, I am not a victim of such, but I could imagine. Why? Because I was in jail already. I did not spend a long time, but I found myself, because I was accused, and I found myself in a cell with about 5 men. And I thank God that those men were not bad guys. Those were just the normal guys. Thank God for His grace. But there are some situations and cases where you are put in a cell with a dangerous person whom you don't know or have no knowledge of, who has the potential to do you some abominable things. And so just imagine a person being put in jail, got out, and such thing were done to them, or to him or her, and no justice be executed or met as a result of what was done in jail. So such a person got to live with that for the rest of his life. Yes, people would say, well, you should not have gone to jail. But even in jail, you have rights. But like I said, some countries, you are not valued. Meaning, they don't care what law defends you. They don't care about article that defends you or speak against anything that come against you, even though you are locked up. So that means sometimes we got to be careful when we go to certain countries. When you go to certain country, you got to be careful, because there are some countries in this world where the prisons are very, very bad. You go inside there, you come out like pork chop. So a lot of youngsters are playing gangsters, but they don't know the reality and the existence of what take place in jail. Jail is another world. Jail is another world you don't want to mess with. You don't want to mess with jail. There's some jail you will be treated so bad that when you get out, it's either you get out crazy, or you get out psychopathic, or you get out suicidal. Oftentimes, suicide is the case. And so this is just a situation that is highlighted concerning a person who have had the type of experience of being victimized by rape in jail. And sometimes the police officers or the warders who are responsible for making sure that the prison is well conducted or disciplined, sometimes they don't even care. Like sometimes they literally let these things happen so that to pass the message, to let you know, next time don't come back in here. So what happened is, in this world, sometimes you could be in a country in which the laws are very well kept, are very well upheld. Yet, still, the most terrible thing could go wrong or happen to you. So how do you explain what to do to a person who being raped in jail, and the person who did whatever did the rape is in that jail for life, and they know that, and they decided to do that to you, and when you are taken to the hospital after such a situation, they would do whatever they have to do with you medically, and then just put you in another cell, and eventually try to find more passive individuals who might not do the terrible thing that was done to you, that was done previously, and you still are in jail. You are still exposed to that type of thing again. Like, you gotta sleep in a cell in which might have 6 guys, or 4 or 5 guys, or 3. And sometimes they switch these guys up because you have fights. So as long as you are in such a situation, you are not guaranteed to be free. You gotta, in jail, you don't really get that much sleep because the person who is in that jail with you might be pretending, and one night grab you while you're sleeping, and when you get up, you tied up or whatever, and then maybe the warder who's on that shift that night is a nasty person, and you would be screaming, and the warder wouldn't say anything because he's just that type of warder that is on shift, that is working that night or day or whatever. And the prisoner might know this is the warder, he's a punk, and he loves to hear that type of noise. These things do happen in prison. There are a lot of men out there who are very angry because of these type of situations and are suicidal. Now, how do you get a person who is affected by this type of situation to think positive and to forget about that type of reality? How do you get a person to stop thinking about that? Because that person, listen to me, if that person wasn't born gay, how do you get a person to change from what he was born as to what the situation want him to be when he is not that? It's a difference when a person is gay. When a person is gay, he is in paradise paradise or whatever, when he is locked up. I mean, some gays literally seek to get in trouble just to get locked up so that they could get banned. I mean, seriously. Like, most in the Caribbean, the women in prison are not as populated or full as some countries. Like, in some countries, the women in prison are overloaded. Like, I believe maybe in Jamaica, you're gonna have a lot of women in the prison because Jamaica is known for crime. So Jamaica is gonna have a lot of women in the prisons. Or Haiti, I don't know. Or maybe Africa, I don't know. Maybe definitely America and France and those big countries. You're gonna have women. You know what I'm saying? Now, a woman situation is different because she is built. What am I saying? Well, if she gets screwed by a woman, how do you explain? Because if she's not lesbian, it's still the same thing. If she's not lesbian, it's still the same thing. Like, from my perspective as a heterosexual man, a straight man, I'll be like, well, if you're a woman and you get it, you just gotta know that you were built for that. But in reality, no, if she's not lesbian, she will be affected terribly. She will be affected. I can't speak for a person because it's a woman and it shouldn't be that much of a problem as if it was a man. No, I can't say that. But how do you get a person to think positive? What if I were to approach a person as such and speak to that person and say, hey, Jesus love you? Well, then how do you get that person to accept that and consider that as a fact, which is a fact? But if a person does not accept that fact, then that would just be that person's reality. So how do you get a person to be positive? This is my question. Sometimes when if I were to meet such a person, I wouldn't really bombard that person with questions to pull stuff out of that person. I would just be free, let that person be himself and we could talk. And if you want to, take a walk, or if you just want to talk normal things, I wouldn't really bombard you with any question pertaining to that. I would prefer that you tell me that. Now, if I see that your situation is really getting wearing you down, where it is so obvious, then I would try to find a way to work myself to talk about that, because it's very good to talk about these things, because sometimes people are looking for a confidant whom they can really let it out to, and whom they won't be dubious about that person speaking their secret to other people. People are looking for someone who they can trust, and that is hard. That is hard because what if you are, let's say for example, a man? How do you position a man telling another man that he got dick in his butt and it hurt and bleed? How do you get a man to tell another man? Now, a man would feel more comfortable telling a female that. A man would feel more comfortable telling a female that. But even a female could betray his trust. So this is the problem. There are a lot of people who are suicidal. Then you have cases where a person is raped by his or her dad. How do you get a person to not hate his or her dad? Because a dad is supposed to be the very first person to love you, the very example of what the right way is. Your dad is supposed to be the number one person you can run to and whom you can trust. But unfortunately, a lot of people can't trust their dad. Because a lot of people came in this world through random sex. A lot of people came in this world through random sex, which means their daddy did not plan to be a daddy. He just lay out his stuff, ball out like Tarzan, and get you. And then he take off. And you'll be like, how could you be a daddy? But what a lot of people don't realize is that your father, he's the way he is because he did not have any intention to get you. He just got you because he got a piece of stuff from your mom, and that's it. That's it. And so if you were to understand this reality, you would really overcome these questions in your mind about your daddy or your mommy. You see, the thing is, it doesn't matter how the situation took place or happened. Your daddy is your daddy. And you want your daddy. But unfortunately, your daddy is the very person that took your virginity. That's hard. That's hard. So how do you get a woman to love men when her daddy does not love her? These are hard situations. How do you get a person to think positive when they have not had any conducive upbringing in a way where they were told positive things to become a positive person? A lot of people, most people were brought up in terrible conditions where they had to learn things on their own. Like they learned from the street. Like whatever they got from the street, that's what they work with, and that's how they form themselves. Like what happened is a person is supposed to emulate his and her parent because they're supposed to be the first best example. Unfortunately, a lot of people have parents that don't love them. So so now how do you get a person to get rid of this suicidal thought or tendencies? How do you get a person to get rid of these tendencies? How do you get a person to quit that? When they are crying, when their situation was so terrible that when they think about it, they want to kill themselves. Like they don't see the reason to live. Like whatever reason there is or exists, they don't see it. It's like it never showed up. Like where is it? It's nowhere in sight. Like if you were to have a reason to literally come and present that reason, they would be like, that is suck, because that doesn't mean nothing to me. Like where was that reason when I was being raped by my daddy? That would be the question. Why did he do that? He is my daddy, or he is my uncle. Why did he do that? I trusted him. Why would he do that to me? What am I supposed to do now with other people? Now, a lot of people are angry because of these type of situations. And you might go out on the street and you might see a person with an angry face or an angry attitude. And you might be like, but why is he so angry? That's why it's good to leave people alone. Let them be. And if you could work your way in and talk to them, you talk to them. But if a person has a nasty attitude, it doesn't mean that that person's heart doesn't mean well. It's just that that person is full of anger because of things that were done to them in the past. So being a Christian, I used to bombard my gospel or bombard preaching people with my preaching. But then what I would do, I would just walk in the street and talk. And whatever the message is about, whoever is to receive it. But even though a person doesn't want to hear it, it doesn't mean that it has not touched somewhere. It doesn't have to be a lot of talking. Like people need to understand that you don't need to talk much. You just need to say what needs to be said at whatever time it is to be said. And that's it. Because the situation is this. Some people see life this way. If you want me to stop being angry, you got to rewind this world. You got to take me back to the point where I was screwed by my dad and raped by my dad so I could kill him. That's how they see this thing. There are some people whose daddy is in jail because they were raped by him, and that's the reason why he's in jail. That's a shame. But what happened here is there's a cycle. A lot of these things are cycle where you got raped by your dad got raped by his dad, his dad got raped by his dad, and his dad got raped by his dad. And when you look at it, it's a whole chain of dads who got raped by their dad. And it's a messed up cycle. It's not funny, but this is so hard. This is so hard. Because I met a guy in the net, and I will always speak about him. I met a guy in the net, and he told me he got raped by his dad. So what do you have to say? He's like, I don't think I say much, because sometimes Sometimes you just gotta don't talk, because what can you say that's gonna change things? I mean, it's not like his dad is gonna fall out from the sky with a ticket and him saying, "Do whatever you want to do with me, so you can get your revenge." So you see, so it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Now, I'm a Christian, and I ought to speak about hell. Now, some people are gonna be like, "But dude, I am from this neighborhood, and every now and then you would hear gunshots, or some female getting beat up, somebody getting hijacked, and I have never met Jesus pass through the hood. So why do you gotta tell me? Like, I'm seeing the negative every day. I live in it. The thing is, regardless of what your neighborhood is like or your upbringing is like, I have to preach the gospel. Why? Because you have life and you have death. Some people think when you die, it's done. That's not true. That's not true. Your soul is immortal. And a lot of people don't know that. Your soul is immortal. Yes. What scripture do you have to prove that, sir? Mark 9, verse 47 and 48. The fire in hell never go out. And the worms in it never die. So do you know that the worms in hell, they are immortal. The worms are immortal. Why are they immortal? Because the souls in hell are immortal. And the worms were designed to torment the souls in hell. That's why the worms don't die. There's no scripture that could say the worms died. Because God is not a man that he should lie. So the worms don't die. So it's true. People will live forever in hell. Meaning, when hell is thrown, Revelation 20 verse 14, hell and death will be thrown into the lake of fire. They will be burning forever. Now, I don't think people really get that. I don't think, you don't have to be in the literal condition to understand that. If you are told that you will be burning forever, it is enough to really make you sit down and ponder. Ponder. I used to be I was a Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventists don't believe in that. They believe that you're going to just blow away in the wind and burn up and that's it. Seventh-day Adventists believe that the spirit will burn to ashes. Spirits don't burn to ashes. Spirits don't die like that. Let me explain a thing about death. You have physical death and you have spiritual death. Majority of people on the planet, right? Majority of people on the planet, the people are spiritually dead. Are spiritually dead. What does that mean? You do not have God. When you do not have God, you are spiritually dead. When Adam ate the fruit, God said before he did eat the fruit, God said, if the day you eat the fruit, you shall die. He did die that day. He did die. He died spiritually that day. Eve died spiritually that day. And she took on a demon. Eve took on a demon, and that demon went into Cain. And Cain became the first warlock. Cain became the first warlock. The devil needed for demons to be in people. And Cain was his first example. The Bible says Cain is the devil's seed at that time. Well, he was the devil's seed. And so what happened is, this is it. um spiritual death. Then you have physical death. 930 years later, Adam died. So Adam almost lived a millennium. Oh no, let me not sing that song. Adam almost lived a millennium. 70 more years after he would have, if he had lived 70 more years, he would have been a man who lived an entire millennium. Because God permit man to live that long at that time. But through sin being so predominant on the earth, God shortened the lifespan of man 120. So this is where I come in. I will talk to you even though this is your case if you were to be suicide. I have to talk the Bible. Because, look, what could be worse than burning in fire forever? Blood. Move. So here what happened. Eternity in fire. Do you know that the devil is depressed? The devil is depressed. The Bible said in Revelation 12:12, the Bible said, "Rejoice, O ye heaven, and all that are in it. Woe be unto the inhabitant of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down with great wrath, knowing that his time is short." Woe be unto the inhabitant of the earth and the sea. This is something that I gotta look into. The inhabitant of the earth and the sea. Whoa. The Bible says, whoa. Why? Why had he come down with great wrath? Was it because he did not get any burger? Was it because he had not gone to the Coney Island? No. It was because his judgment was set and still is set, where there is no salvation for him or any demon. They are doomed. They are doomed. There is no salvation. So therefore, the only creature that salvation applies to or pertain to is a human being. And they are humans who were doomed in the Bible. Saul and Eli and Judas Iscariot. There are a few more, but the Bible called Judas the son of perdition. Perdition means hell. So Judas was destined for hell because he was a guy who had an evil heart. Judas was definitely a warlock. Definitely. He was a warlock. And he was destined for hell. Even before he was born, that was his destiny. So he was a doomed soul. And Judas is in hell right now. Like if you were to have the opportunity to visit hell, you would see Judas screaming as hell. Screaming. Judas who hanged himself. See, Judas was suicidal. You see, what happened is, what people don't understand is that when they mess with children of God, you're going to suffer those type of situation, suicidal and those type of situation. Because what happened is, there is a heavy curse that's going to fall upon a person who mess with a child of God. It's very serious. Judas hanged himself because a spirit took over. A spirit took over. And there will be a time when stress will be the thing. That was Judas' situation. After he betrayed Jesus, he literally regret because he didn't want the money that he took, the silver. He threw it away because he was tricked. He thought that they would have arrested Jesus and then let him go. But their plan was to get him and kill him. He was so upset that he threw away the money. But it's like whatever he didn't change what he agreed to. And they were like, they even took the money up and distributed to some land. You understand? So he did, and then after he hanged himself. Judas hanged himself. It was so bad that he hanged himself. Because there's a heaviness that's going to come up and up a person. You understand? If you were to mess with a child of God. And it's going to be very heavy. It's going to be unbearable. And a lot of times people who are deeply affected by suicide, if they are evil, it could be very dangerous. This is a reality. We got to face the reality. It could be dangerous if they are evil. Like, a person should not be victimized or tormented by you willfully because you had a bad situation. Now, I would understand if somebody provoked you to anger. But why should another person suffer because you didn't have a good past? Like, it's not that person's fault. And this is a fact, and this is a reality. This is a fact and a reality. However, it's hard being suicide, though. Because whatever was done to a person in the past, how do you get that fixed if the person who did what they did is dead or somewhere far from you and in a more powerful situation than you, or whatever the case may be? Like, how do you get that done? Like, there are people with some serious cases where their wife was raped in their presence, or their sister was raped, or some creepy thing. And these are situations that humbugs people terribly. And how do you get them fixed? Well, my advice for such a person is always seek to find a person whom you can talk to. Like, there has to be someone. And if you can't find someone, I don't know, go on the net and express yourself. Talk to someone on a chat site or a net, or find someone to talk to. Find someone who you could relate your situation to. And what that does, it helps. It helps. There are some programs and some personal, private programs that deals with people in these type of situations where they come together and talk about these type of situations. Like, one time I was in Fort Myers, because I used to live in the States. I used to live in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And I was taken to a place called Fort Myers, a very beautiful place. And I got into this group, private group setting, where it was about people who were alcoholics and drug addicts and whatever the case may be. And each person would be given a chance to talk and express himself. These are programs that people should seek for. Go and find people with your situation and talk to such a person. Because sometimes the two of you could relate so amazing. And it's amazing when a man finds a woman with that type of situation, because sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps because she's going to understand you and you're going to understand her. And sometimes you love each other deeply because of those type of situation that the two of you could relate to, because of having the same familiar experience. And so, yes, these are situations you got to look for. Like, I'm just saying, find a way to think positive. Find a way to be positive. Find a way to, go somewhere and, try to find a person, or, look Find a way to create a community, or I don't know, a way where you can get to a person whom you can talk to, that would talk to you and explain things to you and help you to see things positively. Help you to see things the way they ought to be seen, because it's hard when you are alone. It's hard when your situation is very, very deep. You know, they have deep situations where a person is very ashamed to talk about. But it's very amazing when you could talk about these things, because so much will come off your chest. So much will be released from you, and that's very healthy. So sometimes it's good to be around a person who is very humorous. You know, it helps you to laugh. When you laugh, it helps you to forget the pain. It's good to find a person who is very free-minded and humorous, that could help, where you could laugh and see another side of life. Because most of the time when people are suicidal, they're very, I don't know, they're very like solitary. You know, they want to be by themselves. They don't want to talk to people. They're very jumpy, very easily aggravated, easily agitated, very angry. And so when you meet people who are angry, just, don't really push it. Don't go too hard. Just speak nice, say good morning, say good afternoon, and just that good morning could literally, create a connection. But when you speak, don't go too much. Don't go too much into their. Let them talk, and when they talk, let them talk. Don't give no opinion. If they were to ask you an opinion, just tell them, buddy, I love you and I respect you. Try to be as simple as possible, because if you go deep, then they would hold you responsible for telling them what they need to know to get out of that. And if you don't know what to say, you could create a storm. You could create a storm with these type of people. Whenever you see you have conversation, try not to talk too much about it, because you don't want to bring up some things that they went through. When you bring those things up, he might fight you. He might literally shoot you, because he'll be like, but it looks like you like my situation. It looks like you're not showing any sensitivity, or you're not showing any remorse or any pity. You just coming against me. You it seems like you don't like me, and then you got to be very careful, because it's very steamy. You know what I'm saying? It's like a pressure cooker pot. You don't want that pot, the cover, to blow off, because if that cover blows off, he might take it out on you, or she might take it out on you. She might take it out on you. So be very careful when you come across these type of people. Just be simple. Be simple. Don't really get into. Don't be like you think you know it all. Okay, they have some people that think that they know it all. You don't know it all. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I like, if I come around you, I would, if I get a chance to preach, I would preach, but I wouldn't really go that hard on you, because what happened is I have to have the intuition, that spiritual awareness, where I have to allow myself to anticipate that if I go too deep with you in certain conversation, it could provoke a fight, or it could provoke an argument. You know what I'm saying? So this is just my advice to you if you were to know someone who is suicidal. Go easy on them. Try to keep, like, just check up on them, like, everything okay? You want a burger? You want to take a walk? You want to play some games? Be simple, because don't be too hard. Because life, like, okay, I'm a Christian and I have done some terrible things. I mean, there are times I would think like, man, Jesus, you are very loving. You are very merciful. You still love me? After all what I have done, you still love me. I got to put myself in that type of situation where I literally don't want you to think that I'm holier than thou. I want you to think that I need help too. That's how I see myself now. Like before, I might not have seen myself this way as I see now. Before I would talk like radical, I would go radical, like, and like I would say witches and blah blah blah. No, I would speak differently because what happened is I realize that these are people that born in a situation against their will, and they are held captive. They are held captive. And it's a serious situation which they had not asked for. They had not asked for it. And yes, they have the freedom to repent and turn and get the power to help them in the situation. But what I realize is that you cannot force a donkey to drink water, or you cannot force a person against his will. So, in my opinion, even though we have situations, the truth has to be told. The truth has to go out. People need to know. I cannot get tired of preaching on the street because I am going through spiritual attack. I gotta still preach in season and out of season because that's how it is. This life is a life of sacrifice. This Christian life is a life of sacrifice. I am not going to hate Jesus because I have a situation I'm struggling with. I am still going to love Jesus no matter what, because that's just the walk. That's the cross. That's the cross. And that's what the Bible means when the Bible said, take up your cross and follow me. Because Jesus himself, he had a cross, and he had to take up his cross and go his way. So I have to take up my cross in the mighty name of Jesus and go with God. You understand what I'm saying? So I gotta still preach, even though I'm going through whatever I'm going through. I gotta still preach. Thank God I have a sister, because I'm living in a French country, and my daughter, she speaks French, and she's French, and she translate for me. So I would preach, and she would translate. Yep, she would translate. The thing is, we cannot fight God. Some people are mad at God, but it's not God's fault for how the world is. Yes, it's true, it's not God's fault. Why? Because God gave us the gift of choice. People choose to be wicked. How come a person could be so wicked and they know how to walk through a door? If you can walk through this door, then it means that you have the knowledge of and the ability to do right. How come when we walk through a door, we don't walk into the wall? If we walk into the wall, we know that we are going to be hurt. So knowing that we are going to be hurt and we walk through the door instead of to the wall or on the side of the door, then it means that we can do right. If you can drive down the street and obey the traffic rules, then it means you could obey the rules of God. The difference between the traffic rules and the rules of God is that you could be an obedient person to the traffic rules and not to God. Because the difference between the traffic rule is that you can be obedient to the traffic rules and still be a racist. But with God rules, you have to change your racist ways. You could be an obedient person to the traffic rule and have a wife and still humping your neighbor's wife and still obey the traffic rules. So obeying the traffic rules doesn't stop you from being depraved. That's the difference between Jesus' rules and the traffic rules. And so people were born in a world where The things Jesus hate, people love. And the things people love, Jesus hate. Jesus hates racism, adultery, fornication, masturbation, which I'm kind of struggling with, and I literally have found a way. I told my wife, whenever I feel to do it, I will tell her. I tried it and it works. I told my wife, I say, okay, I want to masturbate, and then she would say, no, don't do it. And I'm okay, because masturbation is sin. It's a sin. Okay, it's a sin. And yeah, so that's the reason why people find it easy to follow the traffic rules and every other rules and not the rules of Jesus. So I want to say to you who might be suicidal, try not to be too hard on other people. Try to think positive and try to find ways to laugh, find ways to I don't know, take a sweet walk or drive somewhere and see life. Try to find a way to think positive. Like if you're single, try to find a female and get married and get a child, get a kid that might change your life. You might say, "But what if I'm an ugly person?" Oh man, yeah, I gotta work my way around this one. How the hell am I gonna work my way around this one? Because they have some people that are physically displeasant, and I'm gonna explain myself what I mean by physically displeasant. Lovable. Displeasant is not the word to use. They are attractive, and you might be somebody who's, I don't know, got a big head or something that is really out of proportion or that a lot of people might not like. Or you might be somebody that is very fat. Or you might be somebody that is, I don't know, look funny. And you might be like, okay, so how do you get a person to love me now? What to do about that? Because I'm tired of masturbation. So what to do now, Mr. Wise Guy? You're right. You're right. I don't have a word for everything. I don't have a word for everything. I don't know if you can't find a female, well, just dress nice and cut your hair, make sure your hair is nice. Go to the salon or the barber. Go to the barber and have your hair cut and see what happens. See what works. Go to the gym. Try something new. Work out. Go to the gym and pray. If you don't believe in prayer, just pray a little and see if that works. If dressing different would attract a female or whatever. Do something different. Find a way to do something different. Do something. Get a different hairstyle. If you got funny teeth, go to the dentist and have your teeth fixed. Yeah, but what if I don't have money or insurance? Oh, crap. That's true. Oh, man. If you have a job, save some money until you're able to fix your teeth. Yeah, but what if? Oh my God! If you don't have a job, dude, I ran out of option. Wait, it's not good to run out of option. Let me find something else to say. If you don't have a job, oh my God, go look one. And if you can't get one, oh snap! Oh my God, what to say? What to say? Really? Okay, you know what? I don't have the answer for everything. I tried all my best to find ways for you to see life differently and positively. I hope that if you are, if you are suicidal, I hope that this message was very helpful and was something positive for you to listen to, something fruitful, something beneficial, and yes, leave a message in the comment. Let me know what you think. And God is good. And have a blessed moment and enjoy your life.